Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Remote Dev Revolution, where we talk about all things related to developer experience and productivity. I'm your host, Nicky Pike, and today we've got something really special for you. We're going to be highlighting one of those wow moments that happens when a community creation really makes you rethink what's possible with software development. Today, I'm going to be joined by Romain Courtois, who is the creator of Pad.ws. So Pad.ws is a project that's blending visual design tools with cloud development in ways that we really kind of found quite exciting. So if you've ever wanted to see what happens with Excalidraw meets Coder, then you're in for quite a treat. Roman, I know it's late in France, but we're thrilled that you were able to join us. Thanks for being here, bud.
Thank you, Nikki. I'm very thrilled to take part in this as well. I'm very happy to show Pad. Still a very early project, but yeah, getting people excited is great.
Excellent. Well, before we dive into the project, just take a minute to kind of introduce yourself to the listeners. Tell us a little bit about your background and what was it that made you want to get involved in software development?
Um, Actually, I would say I'm your basic Minecraft kid. So I spent my early days on all kinds of servers, building all kinds of stuff, and I guess that's how I got into the internet stuff. After that, I decided that I should basically learn to code, and I went to this very special school in France, which is called 42. Um, Maybe we can talk a bit about that later, but in the end, that's how I learned to code. And today I'm 27, and I decided to hop out of Minecraft to start actually building products and put them out there.
That's great. That's interesting. I don't know if you know, but Coder got its start in Minecraft as well. And there's kind of this neat where we're seeing, this mixture of Minecraft helping bring in technologies. And it's great to see that that's had influence on you as well. So you did talk about 42. So, I found this very interesting. So 42 is this tuition-free, teacherless coding school that's in France. And it's kind of built on community and peer-to-peer learning. How did this kind of unique educational experience really approach, trying to shape your approach to software development?
Um, yeah, I would say that the way it's built, so they call this peer learning because basically you don't have teachers, you don't have like any kind of schedule. So you just come in and do project with your peers. And basically once you are done with the project, someone comes and like corrects it as much as we can correct code. And this approach, I feel like it's very aligned with how the internet actually works. Basically, it's all peer exchanges, people who actually get into open source code. It's always this kind of mechanics. So I think that's how I got into this mentality of open sourcing everything and building with other people over the internet.
So 42 is really kind of like pair programming at the educational level. You're doing pair programming, but you're learning this with other people as you go, either people that you meet through 42 or that you know throughout the community. So it is a community-based learning aspect. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, and
that's
I
awesome.
think that's what makes it so great. We have this saying in English, it would be usually Google is your friend, but in 42, your friend is Google. It's always
Right.
faster to just ask someone.
Yep. I agree with that. Well, and this kind of led you down a pretty interesting career path. So we talked about Minecraft and how you got into Minecraft, but you also worked for places like Salesforce and Heroku, managing databases for those guys. Did these experience kind of influence what you were wanting to do with PadWS?
Definitely, when I was basically, when I finished 42, you don't really finish it, but when decided to go seek for a job, I was like, I wanted to learn some network and infrastructure stuff. Like I felt like it was lacking in my curriculum, how we actually connect all those machines, and also like this background in Minecraft, it made me want to understand how servers actually are deployed and maintained. So that was a really great experience for me to see at this scale. It was like millions of databases at once. My team of engineers was absolutely great. Shout out to them if they see this. But in the end, I also felt like I wasn't really made for a job in a corporate like this
Right.
huge. And I was drawn to actually entrepreneurship, building on my own, and see how it goes.
Man, that is really interesting. I love the fact that we're seeing a lot of this technology kind of start from gaming, specifically Minecraft. Not only our company, but what you're doing. So, I don't know if Minecraft knew they were going to start a technology boom and knew a new era of software development, but it seems like that's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, I think the redstone was what started it all.
Yeah. Well, and as part of this project, so you are using Coder. So let's kind of talk about how you discovered Coder. I mean, when we were talking in our pre-interview, you said that you found us about a year ago and you were kind of looking for cloud development solutions. What was it exactly that you were looking for and what, ultimately led you to Coder?
Yeah, that's a good question. So usually I don't really care about my computers, my actual machines that I own physically, because I often move, I often like change parts and reinstall software. So I was looking at something that would make my whole experience in as a developer a bit more reliable, and that's how I started to look into cloud solutions. At first, there was this GitHub Code Spaces, which was really
Hmm.
promising, but yeah, in the end, it has also a lot of limitations due to not being self-hostable or whatever. And that's basically how I got into Code Server, which is made by Coder, and
Right.
after that, Coder. And for a while, I played with Code Server mostly. And one day, when I had built like 10% of the features of Coder myself, I was like, maybe I should just look into Coder because it seems like it's doing all that I wish for.
Yeah. And I think like a lot of developers, I mean, a lot of developers are getting into and they're wanting to look at cloud development environments. And, Code Spaces is definitely one of those that they look into. What did you find were kind of the differences between Code Spaces and Coder that made you eventually choose Coder for the project?
First of all, I would say the fact that you can actually self-host code server without any limitations. It's MIT.
Okay.
It's great. It's like a good entry point into your products. And yeah, so starting from that, I like got used to that customization level, to that easiness of deploying however I wanted, and it felt like natural to just switch to Coder after a while.
Okay. Well, and throw a little bit of a question at you here. So with that, you talked about self-hosting, so that is definitely one of the aspects of Coder that's a little bit unique. Are you doing this on a home lab? Or are you doing this in the public cloud? Where are you hosting your Coder instances right now?
Currently, so thanks to the amazing cloud provider Skyway, which is a French one, they do offer me some servers for a while, like while I'm building the product. So I do host on their servers for now,
Nice.
and yeah, it's just like as easy as deploying a container. So I couldn't be happier about that.
That's awesome. And that's nice to know that you've got a cloud provider there in France that's helping, kind of start these small businesses and people that are looking into these products. That's very awesome. Well, let's get to the important stuff. Let's get to Pad.ws. So, for our listeners who aren't aware, could you just kind of describe what Pad.ws, where you got the name, and what problem you were trying to solve with it?
I built Pad.ws with a friend, and we call it the Whiteboard IDE because it merges two IDs that we love each other. He loves the Whiteboard ID, the infinite canvas, and the note taking aspect, and I do
Hmm.
love the cloud development aspect. And
Yeah.
we wanted to do something together, and we felt like it would be really interesting to see what kind of experience, what kind of interface we could build out of just merging the two. So yeah, we would say today that Pad.ws is a whiteboard IDE, and it's mostly like a moonshot take on how the developer experience could look like, especially now that AI is like changing everything.
That it definitely is. I really liked how the concept of blending, kind of the drawing and the architectural side with the development environment, because that is something that I think a lot of developers go through. Right now, it's a swivel seat. They've got to go through, they get onto something like Excalidraw or Visio, and they come up with their architecture, and then they build that architecture, their software around that architecture. So, if I'm understanding you right, what you're really trying to do is combine those two things so that you can kind of see it on one screen. You're not
Yeah,
having a swivel seat.
yeah, definitely. So having stuff all in the same screen is one aspect of it, but also Previously to Coder, I had a little open source project which was called Git ingest, and it was all about providing context for LLMs. So my like obsession about context led me to bring the context, so the actual diagrams for the architecture, all that stuff, bring it closer to the code, bring it in a place where maybe I could just copy and paste my diagrams right into the agent and see how he goes from there.
Oh, that's awesome. That's one of those things, the AI debate's been growing. You got extremes on both sides. You've got, well, we're either it's coming to take all development jobs, or it's so bad that nobody really wants to use it. But you're kind of using it in a way that makes sense. It's not necessarily just about code generation. You were trying to bring in AI to help you with your architecture and develop the code. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I use it in all kinds of way. Like while I code, usually if I know what I'm doing, it's just gonna type the code. But mostly when I don't know about some new text that I need to use, it's a great help. And while I use it, I realize that the quality of the results that I get is like directly linked to how much context and the quality of the context I provide. Like the AI can 10x you, but you can 10x the AI quite easily if you know what you give it.
And I think that's an interesting point. You bring up something that I think we've been talking about quite a bit, that, no, AI is not going to take away software development. It's going to open up software development. But it is going to change kind of how the way developers use AI. And I think you bring up a really good point there, that it's really going to be around, how you structure your prompts and what your prompt engineering looks like to ensure that the AI is doing what you want it to do. Have you, I mean, what's your experience in that? And I mean, you just kind of stated it, but what's your experience in do you spend more time in the prompting, or do you just spend more time in, after I give it the prompt, kind of going through the code that's generated and reworking that?
Usually, I would say I spent way more time like crafting the context. I think that's the most valuable part. It's actually identifying which files, which folders are needed for the AI to properly understand your problems. And it also leads you to like build maybe cleaner architectures where every concern is separated. So in the end, I would even go as far as to say AI is forcing us to adopt like good practices. Otherwise, it has room to go sideways. So yeah, it's we have to progress as well as AI tools have to progress.
Yes. Well, and I mean, you talked about, so, PadWS is kind of a combination of Coder and Excalidraw. Um, what made you choose these stacks? Was it simply because you and your partner, those were the two tools that y'all liked the most, or were there technical reasons that you chose these two tools?
Um, I would say for the Canvas part, it came down to the actual license. There was two obvious choices: TL and Excalidraw. And basically, once we, as far as we knew, both would do the same for us. So we just looked at the MIT one and picked this one. So that was for the Excalidraw part. But for Coder, I have to admit, there's just no alternative that I could just drop in replace right now. So it was basically my only choice. What took the longest was to actually understand that I needed Coder instead of Code Server. My first ideas were to implement Code Server directly, and no, Coder made a lot of things easier.
All right, I want to rephrase what you just said there. So you said it took you longer to realize that you needed Coder than it was to use Coder.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the
That's
time I spent like because developers we always love to have minimal dependence. Sorry, developers we love to have minimal dependencies. We love to not install much, and we are always trying to like to make it work with the lower level dependency. But in the end, sometimes you just need that extra abstraction on top of it. You just need to not type that code yourself because some very talented people did it for us before. So yeah, let's just take that and use it as it's supposed to be used.
Now, do you find benefits in the ability to, bring up and tear down workspaces and make sure that those workspaces are the same every time? Is that something that's been beneficial to you and your partner?
Well, we so at the moment we speak, we have built and brought down around 11,000 instances. So
Wow.
this is definitely something I would not have managed myself with some lines of Python. And it's I do have a lot of interfaces that help me to manage those instances. It's making my life super easy. So definitely, coding all that myself would have been full of bugs, very slow, and
Yep.
yeah, to no real benefit.
Nice. Well, and so as we start seeing you combine these two things, I mean, what are you looking for from PadWS? How do you see PadWS kind of changing the way developers are going to approach architecture and implementation? What's your real goal there?
Okay, my real goal is actually it's also how I wanted to do this kind of projects in the first place. I always felt like it's strangely slow to get your hands on a Linux machine, on a Linux environment. And I felt like it wasn't right. Like we live in the cloud era where every server you can provision in 10 seconds. And now, apparently, if you want to code on Linux, but you are on a Windows machine, you have to install WSL, you have to do all kinds of stuff, which I felt like were a bit outdated. I felt like we should be able to access all of this remotely in the browser. And that's what led me to Pad.ws. And what I hope to build with it is basically not the IDE for everyone. Of course, there's always going to be specialties, but I want to build an IDE that allows anyone in the world to just open a browser, get access to Linux, and do what they want with it. And that's the part we don't know for sure yet, but that's the part I want to see, that it's what they will build with this.
I think that's a very interesting use case that you brought up. I mean, a lot of people are still using Windows today, Windows desktops, Windows laptops. They tend, because there's so many out there, they tend to be a little bit cheaper. You do have the Macs and the MacBook Pros, but those tend to be a little bit more on the pricier side. But I agree with you. There are some things that WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux, kind of lacks. But a lot of the development that we're seeing today is being done on Linux. So something like this kind of opened up Linux for you. It provided you the opportunity to do direct programming. Is that correct?
Exactly. The issue I was trying to solve is basically maybe twice a day, I got an idea that I could test in a few lines of Python, but I don't always have the environment ready to test those lines. So I just built Pad so I can run my Python whenever I need.
Very nice. Well, and this all started, I mean, you took and you provided a demo on the Coder Discord channel of Pad.ws, which was what brought you to our attention. And really that was a very interesting demo. Now, one of the things that you had stated was that, you wanted to see Coder be more accessible for people getting started. Could you elaborate kind of what you meant? What barriers were you seeing that you were trying to remove here?
Yeah, so the friend Alex, my friend with which I built the Pad.ws, when I showed him Coder for the first time, he was like, okay, this looks cool, but I'm scared by all this deployment infra aspect. And I was like, okay, I understand why, because you're not that kind of developer. You don't like the infra aspect, you don't like networking, you don't like all that. And even deploying a simple container, it can be a bit daunting for you, like terminating SSL and all that stuff. It can be a bit daunting for someone who could actually benefit from Coder. So I felt like what I did with my integration was just bring Coder one step forward to the end user, um, make it like just for the individual user and not for the actual organization who needs to deploy it for a fleet of developers, something like that.
That's awesome, and that's really kind of the whole basis around community is opening this up for other developers. So the real question here is, once you got this up and running, Alex, is he still scared of it, or is he a believer now?
No, he's a believer, yeah, definitely.
That's
And I also convinced him to switch from localhost development to all cloud development, and he loves it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good stuff. Well, let's get into it, man. That demo you showed was really impressive to us. I mean, are you able to give us a kind of a demo and walk the users through, the listeners through what they're going to be seeing,
Yeah,
what Pad WS shows?
yeah, definitely. So because since the demo video, we added some stuff
Hmm.
and made it some other stuff a bit better. So I'm put together a small pad that I'm gonna share.
And I love that you turn that into a verb. I put together a small pad. That's great. I see that catching on.
I hope so. So okay, what do we have here? So we are on my pad account. I do have 3 tabs open.
Hmm.
So this is one of the new features we recently added. And on this one, what I have prepared is basically a small dashboard that I use. I made it a bit prettier just to show it to you, but basically this is something I look at every day.
Okay.
Over there, we have a basic embedding of my coder deployment. It allows me to like watch the running instances if there is issue or whatever. It's a few clicks to fix, so it's always good to have this here. Uh, I also have a terminal because since this run all on a one big machine for now, I can just basically open up any coder instance, any coder workspace, and run HTOP and see how the CPU is doing. So currently we are running on a beefy machine with 32 cores and a lot of RAM. And this seems to hold for now, but we'll have to scale this eventually. It's mostly to show people online easily. I
Yeah.
do also have my post hoc stats. Why not? Because I can also see them all in the same place. And this is something a bit special I prepared for you today. Um, so really quickly, we wanted to know how many users were online at any given moment.
Yep.
So here's how we could use Pad to design a kind of custom monitoring for that. This is an endpoint that gives us, if you are authorized, it gives us you the list of all online users at any given time. And
Hmm.
what I did is basically I asked AI to create this one-page HTML script that we can preview over there, and that just formats this data in a readable format. And this is just one prompt. This is something I did in 10 seconds maybe. And if I want to iterate on this, it's as simple as pulling up maybe a Cloud Code, which I love because it's all running in the terminal. And if I want, I can ask it something like, can you turn, how is it called? Active users monitor in dark mode, let's say. And my AI agent is gonna like change the file. Once it's done, I can just see the preview. Let it think for a while. Dark mode should be easy, I hope.
No, this is very cool. I've got a couple questions for you. So first and foremost, each one of these screens we're looking at, are they separate workspaces or are they just components of a single workspace? Or can you have multiple workspaces into this?
For now, we limited users to have only one workspace, and
Okay.
you can see the state of the workspace through this dashboard. This is also how you can spawn new terminals, VS Code, whatever you need. If I
Yep.
go back to the dashboard, you can like open VS Code in a new tab, so it feels like just your regular desktop client.
Yep.
And yeah, so mostly we wanted to keep things simple so people get used to the remote dev environment in an easy way. So
Mhm.
we stayed with one workspace for now. And did it succeed? Probably. Let's say edit. It should change the file over there. I don't know if we'll see the actual change.
I love the fact that you're bringing in agentic AI into this to help you with your development. This is, what is your take on agentic AI? I see this as something that is kind of a force multiplier for developers, and that now you're able to do things in parallel rather than just doing things serially. You're able to open this up. You're able to see not only what you're doing within Cloud Code and your agent, but you're actually able to have the window open to see the code changes real time. And you're able to see that without having multiple tabs open. It's all in one screen. This is very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, and we hope to make it even cooler with time. But for now, I have to admit that the preview aspect of things is a bit messed up. This
Hmm.
is something we are still improving, but I don't know. Did it edit the file? Probably. I don't even know. Okay, but yeah, the idea is very quickly we will move on from giving a prompt and processing the result to a workflow where we will probably just let an agent run for a while, maybe have another agent like look after it. And in the end, my dream goal is basically we record this meeting, we transcript everything using AI, and we give the transcript to some agents. And when I come back the next day, some agents can tell me, yeah, I spent 5 hours trying to prototype what you just described, and here's the prototype. I think this kind of usage of parallel agents can be really impressive, and I'm pretty convinced we are going to see some more in the future.
Well, and you're taking the concept of just you and Alex doing code to you and Alex, and now your agents doing code. So, I think this is very interesting. I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this because now, again, you're able to parallelize what you're doing instead of having to do everything in the serial. So you can turn this loose on multiple different issues while you're still working on a major feature. It's
Exactly.
kind of, you are 10xing yourself, but what are you finding when you're using agents? Are you finding that you're having to go back and do a lot of correction? Or are you finding that agents are getting, doing a lot of the work that you needed to be done and it's very minimal? What are you seeing from the agents there?
I would say that as a rule of thumb, you can give to an agent everything that you know for sure that you would code yourself. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
know exactly how you would code it yourself, the context and the instructions you're going to give, they are not going to leave much room for error to the LLM. But
Right.
the more you try to ask high level tasks about stuff you don't really know about, the more it's going to have opportunities to hallucinate or just make bad choices. And in the end, it's always like the bugs that we introduce in code. It's mostly the fault of the user. Uh,
Right.
and most of the time, yeah, I don't consider myself as a very great coder, but I know some. And so far, the best coders I know, they just love using AI because they know exactly how to manage it so it gives great results.
Yeah. I think you're fitting in that perfect middle that we talk about. When we listen to the AI debate, there's extremes on each side. I think you're perfectly showing here what the happy middle is with agents and with AI itself, in that yes, you do have to kind of know what you're doing in order to craft the prompt, to be able to get the AI to output what you want it to do. But at the same time, you can look at this, is AI really doing the coding or is your prompt doing the coding? I would venture to say that your prompt's doing the coding, but your AI is doing all that typing for you.
Yeah,
Would you
mostly.
agree with that?
Absolutely. I would say that it's just the typing part that goes away. But the thinking part, well,
Yep.
you just have to do exactly as much thinking as before. And this is also why I want to build this Pad.ws, because if we give good tools for people to actually design good systems, good models, like sane ideas, like for now, I'm working on the multiplayer aspect of Pad. This is still very much in progress, but I feel like the more I spend time designing those diagrams, the better will be the product. And it's not about the time I actually spend typing or prompting. This is like always 20% of the time. And most of my time is just spent designing, naming stuff, and trying to simplify diagrams. Yeah, mostly.
I go back to that last tab you just had because
Yeah.
I almost find this even more interesting than the one that you kind of got for the demo,
Mm-hmm.
in that we're watching you actually design and architect your program right here. Now, is the end goal, once you get done with this architecture and you draw out everything that you want to do, are you going to feed this to AI to help you with your application? That's the whole point of this, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. So the idea is to lower the friction to like fetch information and to actually give good context to the LLM. So what I can very easily do is just take a screenshot of this and give it to any model. Today, the models are actually really good at computer vision.
Mm-hmm.
So I can just take this, feed it to an AI, and ask it, "What do you think? Do you think I'm like missing something?" And this diagram is a bit outdated because the AI, when I showed it to it, the AI told me that we should probably not connect Redis and the client front end directly. So this is the
Right.
kind of stuff that it's not really that I couldn't figure this out myself, but I just lowered the friction to get this answer from an AI, and I just made my head lighter with less problems to think about.
Oh, you're using all the buzzwords. I love it. I love everything that you're saying. This is awesome. So 100%. So you're not, and I want to kind of reiterate this point. You're not saying that this is doing all the work for you. In fact, what you're saying is now I'm able to concentrate on the important aspects of what I'm doing. I'm able to focus on the architecture. I'm able to focus on the flow of how that application is going to go. I'm using AI to help me type the code based on all of the information that I've given it instead of having to do all that manual typing yourself. You're using agentic AI as kind of a pair programmer in itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's two aspects, like the pair programmer and also the research aspect. Like everything I don't know about, I don't need an agent for that. I don't need it to edit my code when I just need to learn about new technologies.
Mhm.
But in the end, yeah, even on Coder, the API docs, I
Right?
I probably ingested all with a tool which is called Firecrawl, and
Mm-hmm.
I just give it to Claude, and he tells me what I need to know about the API. I don't actually read it myself most of the time.
Oh, so it's not only your coding pair, but it's going out and doing the research for you. You're just feeding it full. Here's all the research. I don't want to spend hours going through the docs. So here's the docs, Mr. AI agent. Come back and tell me what I need to know or what I'm doing wrong.
Exactly.
Oh, that is very cool. Yeah, I like that. All right. Well, I think that's a very interesting demo.
Thank
You
you.
know, I want to go into kind of the development process and the challenges that you guys have talked about. So you and your buddy Alex, you're working on this project. Are you guys in the same area?
He's in Paris, I'm in Lyon, but we are both in France and we see each other really often.
All right. So what does y'all's development process look like? I mean, you are separated. You're not in the same room. You're not in the same dorm room. You're not in the same apartment. So how do you guys really work together and collaborate other than
Um,
just using Pad?
well, first of all, we met like 10, 13 years ago in
Mhm.
Minecraft. So we are very
Okay.
used to this remote relationship that we have. And I would say that I spent maybe 10 times more time with him through Discord than in real life. So this is quite natural for us to just speak over a mic and share screens. And so far, our workflow has always been I have two screens. One screen is just his shared screen, and he sees my other screen. And this way, we can always know what he's doing, and when we want to show something, it's always super quick. But in the end, there was one part that we couldn't solve together. It was this part. Like I do always have that on my desk, and we couldn't share that. So at first we were using Excalidraw, but through screen share we could like see what the other was doing, but it was not ideal. And the more we used this workflow, the more we wanted something that would not only allow me to draw in the same pad as him, but also to access his machine, access his code, and see the logs, see the containers running. And we felt like we need that. We tried a bunch of options. We always had like very strange setups. And so far, I feel like we are closer than ever to this actual frictionless experience.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm a pen and paper kind of guy too, to be honest with you, Roman. So, have you guys looked at? Are you using any of the tablet writing programs like GoodNotes or anything like that, and see if maybe that solves your problem?
Um, yeah, we tried a bunch because there was also this war between Notion, Obsidian, and all those
Right,
note-taking apps. But in the end, none of them felt really right because I guess none of them were really designed for software builders.
right.
There's tools, but in the end, all those tools, I feel like they're less interesting than just having the file system of a Linux, having access to to the processes that are running. This is much closer than what we actually need than any dedicated app that doesn't actually include a dev environment.
Yeah. I mean, every project comes with its challenges. So it's been, you're already kind of talking through what some of those hurdles are that you faced. And, you know, pad to paper, I don't know, Roman, maybe there's a new idea for you, right? What can y'all do with that to see if y'all can't solve that problem? That would be interesting.
Yeah, I usually I have this little graphical tablet, nothing fancy, but sometimes I just use Pad this way because that's really nice with Excalidraw. But in the end, the goal would be like a tablet, and you just need that. If you need to type, you speak. If you need to move stuff, you use your fingers. And any kind of interface you need, you can show it on a like a tactical tablet. So yeah, the dream target device is actually a tablet, but for now we're focusing on the browser desktop experience, and we'll move on to that after.
Yeah, I think that's one of the interesting. I think that kind of skipped the process there is that you can use your tablet with Pad, you can use your tablet with Coder, you can use your tablet with Excalidraw. So it sounds like you guys are 50% or more already the way there of getting everything that you need done. You just got to kind of finish it up there. Yeah,
I hope so. Yeah, it's gonna be hard because for now we picked the lowest hanging fruits, and one of the lowest was just deploying Coder. But
right.
now we have to actually tackle the hardest stuff like scaling, like understanding how we manage so many WebSockets at once and all that stuff. But yeah, it's like the best project I've ever started so far, and I'm learning so much. I don't think I'm gonna stop.
That's awesome. I mean, you talked about in the pre-interview, you talked about that you and Alex are putting out like 15 hours of code per day as a team. Now, you guys are putting in the work on this. And we're kind of talking about some of the tools and techniques that you're using to stay productive on that and maintain that pace. But I've got to ask you, that 15 hours of code that you guys are putting out a day, is that just you and Alex, or is that including your agentic AI as well?
I would say it always has been for us 15 hours of computer time every day. Just because we are gamers, we just love that. But in the end, now that we are focusing on this project, of course, it's more time spent in the IDE, in Cursor and all. But I, I would say how we manage to keep that intensity, it's just because we focus on the vibe. Like
Yeah,
in this formula, the vibe coding, I think people are too focused on the coding aspect of it. It's the vibe
right.
that is important. Like you need to spend good time with your partners, and that's how you build good softwares. You have good ideas and you find clever solutions. That's not by reading a lot or working so hard. It's just by having a good time in a vocal chat, like just like we are. And this is how good ideas are made, I think.
Oh, I think you just came up on something that's going to go viral. It's, people are focusing, when we're talking about vibe coding, people are focusing too much on the coding part, not the vibe part. And, a lot of people got into software development to solve problems because it was interesting. And you nailed it. We're forgetting the vibe portion of this. We're forgetting what made software development fun. And you just said it. This is what's interesting to us. This is what we're enjoying, is the vibe portion of it.
Yeah, definitely. Also, one funny aspect is, funnily enough, you don't need to provide very accurate prompts to LLMs because they are very good at like extrapolating the context and
Right.
what you actually want to say. So once in a while, we just throw some jokes and like nonsense in the prompt just because it makes us laugh. And so if
Right.
we are having a good time, we will spend just longer doing this. So why not? In the end, it
There you
doesn't change
go.
much. The actually Claude, he never really laugh at my jokes, but I do, so I don't care.
That's the only thing that's important. And like you said, man, it's all about the fun. If you're having fun, it's not work, right? So it's just
Exactly.
having a good time. This is just coding with your buddies. Um, so going back to kind of the pad, you are using Excalidraw. I know we had talked about earlier that you were considering forking Excalidraw because you had some limitations there. Could you share with us what those limitations were and what you're doing to address them? Are you still considering forking the project?
Yeah, currently we had to move on to a fork. It's not really a big change from the current library, but yeah, in the end, we didn't find another way to add some customizations. It's mostly around the embeddings because Excalidraw it's really focused. I feel like it's really focused on drawing stuff, but
Hmm.
it was maybe not thought like we did, like to embed as much stuff
Right.
as we did. So we had like to customize some stuff for that, and hopefully we want to keep the process very similar to the current release of Excalidraw. But yeah, in the end, gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening, if anybody from Excalidraw is listening, there was a reason for this. I mean, maybe that's the whole part of community is being able to make a product better through crowdsourcing, through community. So anybody from Excalidraw that's listening, y'all might want to reach out to Roman and Alex and talk to them about the changes that they made and see if there's anything that could be brought in there.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That would be great. But
All right.
yeah, other than that, Excalidraw has been like flawless so far. It's so amazing because you can copy anything and it's just gonna be a JSON object. You can paste it to anyone. Like
Yep.
the demo I just showed you, I could copy all of it, give it to you, and it would run just the same. You would see almost the same stuff, but you don't have the authorization maybe. But yeah, you would basically just see the same layout.
Yeah. And that's important to note. I think, you didn't fork Excalidraw because it was causing you problems. Like you said, it's been flawless. You just needed a few extra features for your use case. But if you're seeing that use case, there's got to be other people out there that are seeing them too. So that's where community comes in. That's where we're looking for community. And one of the mainstays of OSS is, hey, what are we missing? Because not everybody can think of everything, right? When we start crowdsourcing this out and we start getting a larger set of eyes on a project, that project becomes better just through organics. And I think you made that case very well. So uh, go ahead and moving on. So about this, the last time we talked, you had about 20 users on your initial wait list. Has that grown? What's your feedback been so far on Pad?
So yes, since that day we launched like the open source repo on GitHub, and we made a bunch of Reddit posts. One on the subreddit self-hosted was pretty popular because I basically asked them if they wanted me to make it self-hostable. So the response was positive, and now we have over 2,000 stars on GitHub. It's been like a month. I feel
Nice.
like it's really fast.
Congratulations.
And yeah, I'm so happy, but at the same time, I understand that people are convinced by the vision more by the actual product so far.
Right.
So this gives us unlimited motivation to build the actual vision, but we also understand that we are not quite there yet.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's awesome that you're making this open source. I mean, what is kind of your vision for the community involvement and contributions? Are you accepting PRs into Pad? Are you opening this up so that people can come in and kind of help you guys out? And instead of 15 hours, now you're getting 60, 70, 80 hours of work on Pad today?
Yeah, that would be amazing. So every contributions are welcome. Maybe the project will be a bit daunting, but just know that it's a simple fast API backend and React frontend. Nothing
Hmm.
really new. We mostly use REST APIs, WebSockets. Really nothing out of the ordinary. So everybody is welcome to contribute, but like in the second phase, I would love also if people could contribute as actual modules and like kinds of plugins, like integrate their own tech, their own tools inside Pad and make it shareable. That would be even better because in the end, what we build is not supposed to be a complicated software. We are just here to connect amazing products together.
Right.
So yeah, come and integrate your products into Pad, and it's gonna be even better.
Yeah, look at this like you did with Excalidraw. There's nothing wrong with it, but maybe somebody else has got a little bit different use case. Throw it out there. Let's see who else wants to bite on that use case and how you can get in there. And again, the more people, the more eyes you get on something, the better that product's going to be. So, what is your roadmap for Pad? What do you see the project doing in the next 6 to 12 months?
Um, our current focus, and it's really the hardcore phase that we are in right now, is to make it multiplayer. We want people to be able to just draw in the same canvas, and ideally, and that's going to be another like technical step to to take on, but also access the same dev environment. And if
Mm-hmm.
we get to that point, then we basically have yeah, this collaborative and really easy to get into dev environment. And this is where we want to go. Hopefully, in the next year, if things continue to go as well as they are doing right now, I would love to maybe deploy a paid version of the online version, a bit like a SaaS or cloud version, because of course we need to keep doing that stuff for long. But at the same time, I feel like the self-hosted version is so important because I'm not really in just for the money. I'm in to build amazing software, and this is why I ship MIT licenses and everything that we're gonna build in the cloud version. If we make it paid someday, it's just because we need to rent the servers. But in the end, everything's gonna be free in the self-hosted because that's just the kind of internet I want to build.
Oh, I think you just made a lot of open source people happy to say even our paid version is going to be, you'll still be able to see the code. Really, the paid version is going to be for us to host it for you, provide some sort of support. That's great. I think you're embodying exactly what we look for in the the open source community and what we look for out of open source. That's 100% awesome. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So as somebody that's actively building with Coder, I mean, your experience has been good, right? What would you say is the one feature that was most valuable for you?
Yeah, I love how easy it is to template and design new dev environments. How easy it is for me to update the environment I provide to my users. So we have started and stopped more than 10K workspaces, and I never had a single issue to update them. I never had a single issue like with Orphan's resources because just the dashboard is so good. One neat little detail about Coder that I loved is that when you edit your template, you don't have a save button. And when you think about it, if you're used to saving your work, it feels a bit weird at first, but then you realize that, yeah, if I'm happy with what I have, I just need to build it. I don't really, this is how I save. I just build this environment and I see for myself if it works or not. And this kind of UX user experience is really what we're after. Like it makes sense. There's buttons that you don't see because you don't need them, and the buttons you actually see is because they are actually useful to you. So I would say, yeah, the whole managing the templates and workspaces aspect has been really great.
That's great. All right. So down the negative side, if you could suggest one improvement or feature to Coder, what would it be?
For now, I would love to be able to scale it without using Kubernetes. Maybe I'm just
Kubernetes.
uninformed, but I feel like I'm at the step where I need Kubernetes at this point, and this is still new to me. So this is going to be fun, but I would love if I could have a little extra time until I get there.
Yeah. Well, maybe reach out to me and we'll see what we can do to help you out with the Kubernetes side. I do think the Kubernetes, when you kind of get the feel for it in the templates, it's very easy, just like everything else. So yeah, reach out. Maybe we can work together on something. I would love to be a part of that.
Thank you. Will do.
Cool. All right, so going to start wrapping this up now. So as someone who has both forked projects and you've created something new out of these projects, what advice would you give to other developers, new developers, or even senior developers when they're considering trying to build products or tools on top of Coder or on top of some other open source software? What's your advice to them as someone who's done this?
I'm going to cheat and maybe say two. First one is just go open source. Just do it.
Just do open source.
Yeah,
Love it.
just go open source. There's no good reasons to not be open source. You can monetize. You can find everything that you fear that you won't have, but open source is the way if you want people to just see your software and use it. And the second advice I would say is just ship it. It's always the same advice, but like really, the whole thing that you see, the first version was 1 month of work, not more. And
Yep.
I feel like it was almost too long. Like we took time, but just ship something that is not perfect, ship something that is full of bugs, because in the end, you want people to tell you where the bugs are. You don't want to find them yourself. If people use it, it makes sense to fix those bugs. But if nobody uses this, then don't waste your time fixing bugs.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. There's an old saying that perfection is the enemy of progress. And I think you just kind of stated that out in your own words. And I think that's absolutely correct. So, one, open source, more eyes, more people working on it. You're going to get differing skill levels. I agree with you on that one. And two, just do it. Just push it out there, see what happens, get your feedback, and then iterate based on that. Who knows? You might find what's in your head is different than what the community and what people are wanting to see. Um, but at the same time, you may find out it's exactly what they want. And then you're going to get people excited about it and they're going to come in and give you some hands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the feedback from reality is absolutely crucial when designing any kind of software.
Right?
You can't design any good software purely on paper, purely in the code. You have to get it out there to know if it's actually good or not.
I 100% agree with you. That's awesome advice. I think that's really good. Well, Roman, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I've seen a couple things that came out of this that I think are going to be very popular. Some of the statements you made, so we're going to make sure that we get those out there. We want to thank you. Thank you for coming on and sharing your journey and kind of giving us insight into Pad.ws. Where can our listeners find you and learn more about your work if they want to talk to you?
Yeah, they can definitely follow us on follow my Twitter. I would say it's
Okay.
rom.2. And I would say my TikTok is something I'm a bit proud of because I
Okay.
just tell all my stories over there. So it's gonna be a cyclo truck. Maybe you need to write it somewhere because. But yeah, on my TikTok, it's good if you want to follow my crazy adventures.
That's awesome. All right. So, to all our listeners, I mean, if you guys are interested, if what you saw was as interesting to you guys as it was to me, go check out PadWS at pad.ws. And we'll make sure that we put all the links to Roman's social platforms into the show notes so that people can reach out to him. Likewise, if you have to, you can reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with Roman. But man, we just want to make sure that we're seeing everything that Roman's doing. I want to see that continue. We want to see people jump in. So if you have questions, or I'm guessing if they just want to geek out with you for a little bit, Roman, you're open to that.
Yeah, definitely. Reach out to me on Discord as well. You can find the link on the repo.
Yeah. And we'll make sure and get that in the notes. And yeah, Discord's a great place just to have some good conversations. As you heard, Alex and Roman, that's where they're spending most of their times on Discord just talking. So, well, with that, I would say, for Remote Dev Revolution, everybody, please stay tuned. We're going to be posting more episodes where we're going to be hosting interviews with industry leaders. We're going to be taking a look at new tools that are helping improve the developer experience. And really, we're gonna try to feature more community members like Roman and the awesome projects they're coming up with. So I hope everybody stays tuned. Please check the show notes for everything that you got. And I guess until next time, happy coding.